Hamahologo, hayajoneko, hamahologo, hayajoneko, hayajoneko, nabe hajolihle yanahene. Hamahologo, hamahologo, hayajoneko, hayajoneko. Habe hajolele yana eyuem. Nit hadiyet ni mata kwiche bechon ni logo bena yeni tseni yana eyne. Hamahologo, hamahologo.
My name is Heather Murray Elkins, and I welcome to you a time of holy human stuff. I'd like to invite you to enter a circle, and the circle that I'm inviting you to is one that was begun years ago when I had my first teaching job, and I taught on the Navajo Reservation in Arizona. It was a school called Rough Rock Demonstration School, and it had separated, one of the first schools that separated from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And the purpose of its separation was to be able to teach the children what it meant to live and breathe and speak both English and Navajo in ways that preserved the Dene, the way of the people. So I was hired to teach English in relationship to Navajo in any way that I could. Arts and theater and the engagement of an incredible culture that had sustained these particular people under what was in fact a form of cultural genocide. They knew that their ways of life would not survive if their children did not know their stories, could not tell their stories, could not practice their ways. And at that school, it was not only a school for children from K through high school. There was a school for medicine men and women, and there was the insistence that in every classroom there would be both a teacher who teach in English and a parent who would be able to then translate both English and Navajo to those children. So one of my tasks, one of my opportunities was to see if I could so learn the stories that were important for conveying value of what it meant to be a Navajo, but to frame it in such a way that English was also a partner in that. So one of the results was a book, my first book. And I used this text, which is written in both English and Navajo, to record some of the beautiful stories that the children and the community knew to be life-giving. And one particular story, one particular powerful narrative has to do with a figure called Spider Woman. And Spider Woman was a spiritual force, a personality, a identity, a divine figure for the Dene. And she is credited with teaching the women, the Navajo women, how to weave. But more than weaving, she was a figure that was compassionate when it came to the human communities. And Spider Woman instructed Navajo women how to weave on a loom. The cross poles were made of sky and earth cords, the warp sticks of sun rays, the beads of rock crystal and sheet lightning. The batten was a sun halo, white shell made the comb. There were 4 spindles, one a stick of zigzag lightning with a whirl of cannel coal, one a stick of flash lightning with a whirl of turquoise. A third had a stick of sheet lightning with a whirl of abalone. A rain streamer formed the stick of the fourth, and its whirl was white shell. And she enabled them to survive and translated for them some of the essential pieces of wisdom that they needed to weave their lives together, not only making rugs, but to hold the people in a harmony. So in this text, which was eventually performed carefully in both English and Navajo, after it had been carefully scrutinized by the Navajo elders in the medicine men's school to make sure that no word was rightly written or said. It was to be a word that was in harmony, not a matter of simply recording, not a matter of simply enacting, but a word so carefully shaped that it would not disturb the harmony that it sought to describe. So from that experience, I gained this incredible appreciation of what it is like to have a figure such as Spider-Woman as an identity that young girls could form their sense of life around. A very powerful description. And I was privileged to be able to be present there as some of the young girls were going through their coming of age. And I'd like to read for you right now just a description of this encounter, one that I observed. The dawn wind has a cold edge, sharp as the pain in my side from climbing Black Mountain too fast, too early. I needed the sugared coffee that was waiting at the top as much as I needed the heat from the oil drum fire to thaw out my lungs. My student had invited me to attend, and her clan, made room for me at the fire. Then they promptly ignored my presence as appropriate. A little room, nothing more, nothing less. I helped their daughter write her first poem in both English and then with the assistance of a wise Navajo elder in Navajo. And for that gift, I can watch her run. I can watch her run for her life. This is Changing Woman's ritual, one of the coming of age taught by Spider-Woman to the daughters of Dene, the people. One stands in the doorway, and she dressed as her grandmother, my student, dressed as her grandmothers had, and she was dressed by her grandmothers. She had been bathed and scrubbed with sand and scented with oil by the old mothers. And they tell her of the womb and the earth where the people first emerged into the sun for the very first time. And they wrapped her, this young, beautiful girl, with stories and songs. Her hair is unbound, worn free like a child. She is ready. After what happens next, after this run, she will weave her hair up. And wearing your hair up then was a sign that she was a woman. She was able to wear and bear life. The whole community is quiet as she prepares, watching for the dawn. And in the first touch of the fire on the edge of the rim, and then the silence just explodes, she runs, and the community calls after her, run, run. They call her name. She flies through the doorway toward the sun, running for the sun, And I remember there were dogs of all sizes and humans of all ages and even a few chickens. They run after her. A girl whose hair is whipping in the blue air like wings. Run, I shout. Run. I'm left behind at the fire with an old man, and we shout. We shout sunward. Run in double tongues. She must outrun them all. That's the task. She has to be faster than all of them. It's a sign that she will be strong. Her race won't be easy. Her life will require strength. So for her sake, her community won't make this race easy. She has to run. 30 years ago and more now, I saw a girl run toward the sun. Not a solitary sprinter. Her community ran with her. She ran for her life, surrounded by those present to her and those who were to come after her and those who were to come with her. Now, this many years later, the sun seems further away, and a young girl racing ahead of a crowd in this world, in this white world. She may be truly running for her life, for this is a culture of Spider-Man, not Spider-Woman. And yet, even now, even all those years later, even now, I can still smell the coffee some mornings and the fried bread and old wool and pinyon. And when I read this scriptural text, I have an image of a strong, young girl running for our lives with a community behind her every step of the way. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin that clings so closely, and let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who for the sake of the joy that was set before him endured the cross, disregarding its shame. And when I hear those words, I see beautiful black hair shining like the wings of a dove, shining like a raven in flight. I see life running toward the rising sun. And for this, and these people who knew how to make harmony, these people who taught me so much, I am grateful.
Ayo choniku ape ha choniku